Hi, welcome to the Bowie Business Journal. I'm your host, Pauline Markward with the Greater Bowie Chamber of Commerce. Today, my guest is George with CoreLife, and I'm not even going to attempt to say your last name.
Cifizzari, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Well, welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's been a while.
So, yeah, I think the last time we saw each other was at the ribbon cutting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was can you believe it was almost a year ago now?
I can't.
It's that close to a year ago now.
And where's your location?
So we are right off of Racetrack Road behind the Hilltop Plaza Shopping Center. So we're right on the backside near, next to the Cakery, Blue Sunday, all those fun places, of course. Ironically, right between two restaurants.
I remembered that's where you were, but I just want you to give the shout out.
I know, right? I appreciate it. Makes it work. Good to get the Bowie area out there.
Absolutely. So with CoreLife now, it's been open a year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. The Bowie area has been great to us. I mean, and as a whole, as a company, we've been in an existence now for about 7 years. Just now, the last year being in Bowie, and it has been everything we've hoped it would be and then some. Like I said, we're coming up on just about a year now. Since last June was when we've been open. The hospital systems, the community, the school systems have been a huge bonus to us. They've just fully embraced us as part of their community and all the surrounding neighborhoods. So we're excited to see what the next year will bring.
Good. Well, let's talk about what CoreLife is.
Yes, absolutely. So for those that don't know, CoreLife, we specialize in preventative health care and weight management. We work with a lot of different hospital systems, primary care offices, specialists. We do tailor to the retail patient as well, but I'd say about 62 to 65% of our patients are exactly from doctor referrals, so directly from your local primary care office. So we specialize in preventative health care and weight management. We work in network with a lot of different hospital systems, local communities, primary care offices, endocrinologists, orthopedic surgeons, those types of situations. Now we have recently partnered in the local Bowie area with the Prince George's County Public School System. So that has been a huge community outreach for us, helping the local communities and school systems kind of an employee wellness program, kind of get more involved with local communities. So that's been great as well.
Okay, what does an employee health program look like?
Oh man, that's a great question. So it could range from a multitude of different things. The first component of what we would do is a medical assessment. We'll have all of the employees that enroll in it come out to a local facility, whichever one is closest to them. In this case, Prince George's County Public Schools has kind of been the biggest embracement of us so far. So they would come down, meet with our physician, get lab work done, get metabolism tests done. They'll get a biometric screening, which is really just a fancy way of saying we're going to measure your muscle mass and fat mass and water weight. I think you've done that once at our ribbon cutting, which it can be a little intimidating at first, but it's a very fun experience. You get to know a lot about yourself. But as far as the specific employee wellness program, we really start everything we do with a medical component. We want to make sure that everyone is medically cleared to be able to properly manage their weight, and hopefully we can catch some things that maybe have gone undiagnosed. We've had a lot of situations where an employer will partner with us for a employee health and wellness program, and a lot of employees that maybe don't have primary care doctors or have not been to the doctors in a very long time, they get their blood work back, and there have been times we found people who were pre-diabetic or had type 2 diabetes that went undiagnosed for a while. So that's where everyone would start, and then we kind of take it one step at a time. Some people are there more for the nutrition component. Some people are there for the exercise component more so. Some people are there for the whole program, medical, nutrition, exercise. They all work in unison with each other, but everyone there's there for different reasons, and that's the beautiful part about CoreLife. We can really tailor to each individual need. There is no real cookie cutter approach to what we do.
Okay. Tell me what it looks like. I get my referral and I walk through your door. I'm probably a little overweight, or my blood sugars are spiking. How do you put people at ease knowing that they really need a lifestyle change? It's got to be scary to walk through the door the first time. I know I was afraid to step on the scale.
Yeah, and it is an intimidating environment. And so what we do, your first step would come in, you would actually fill out what's called a CORA. It's a health questionnaire and profile that will really ask a lot of different ranging lifestyle and medical questions like family history. If your family has a history of heart disease or diabetes, that would change your care plan for us. But you'll fill out this questionnaire. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes. You'll sit down with the manager at that office, and in this case, it'll be me, in the Bowie area. So you and me will go over that health questionnaire together, and it takes anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, but we really use that to get to know you and what your current situation is. So I'll give you an example. We had one woman who came in last week. Both parents had heart disease. Both parents had passed away due to heart disease or some cardiovascular disease in her family. So she was walking with a target on her back, okay? Both as a lifestyle, the way that she grew up, and just the hereditary factor. So me and her focused a lot more on the components that she could control, not so much than what she, was her genetic predisposition, so to speak. So me and her spent a good 45 minutes together. We went through her whole lifestyle change from the time she was an adolescent teen up until that point in her life, with different lifestyle factors such as different exercise history, nutrition history, things that she was used to, things that were very new to her. Like the term going on a diet is thrown around a lot. We don't really look at it so much as a diet as much as it is a lifestyle change. So me and any individual will talk for about 30 to 45 minutes. We'll come up with a care plan or a game plan, so to speak. Should they decide to join the program, that's when we set them up with a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant in-house. And again, we just take it one step at a time. After we get that medical assessment done, that will set the tone for their program ultimately.
Now, with the dietitian, do they put together shopping lists for you? Or, that's a huge lifestyle change when you have to stop eating, say, prepackaged foods.
Yep, absolutely.
Because you don't have that. You don't have where you just go and you pick up a box and that's what you eat.
So it's not the motto of our program, no, exactly. So the dietitians, and in my opinion, that's one of the newest, so when you talk about preventative health care, it really can start with nutrition. And so I think that's one great role that the dietitians can play. And they craft, everything A to Z nutrition, grocery lists being one of them. They will sit down with you, and it is different for every individual. But the first time you meet with the dietitian, you meet with them for about an hour. They will sit down with you, and breakfast, lunch, dinner, grocery lists, if you have any food allergies, if you enjoy eating out a lot, or if you are used to eating prepackaged foods, how to make the transition to more fresh, whole, nutrient-dense foods. And like I said, everyone's different. So some people come in if they work night shifts, for example. We have a lot of police officers and firefighters in our program as well. And if they're working 3 12s a week or 2 24s a week, well, they're constantly on the go. They need to be able to grab something quick. So some people may be able to utilize prepackaged food a little bit better, but in a perfect world, everyone would be able to eat whole meals, whole nutrient-dense food. But it is different for everyone. There is no one size fits all. That's really the beautiful part about it. We have a lot of flexibility, and we can craft it to really what your goals are, and that's different with everyone.
How long does this program generally last when you started?
That is a great question. So it is different with everyone. I will say, there's really, again, no one size fits all. I would say the average patient is in our program for 8 months to a year. Now, it really depends on why they're there in the first place. So if someone is referred to us, say, from a bariatric surgeon, they're most likely going to be in the program for 8 months to a year.
Okay, excuse me. Now, when they refer you, is that normally before the surgery or after? Because don't you sometimes have to lose weight before they?
Yep. So more often than not, it's before, but we have worked with both pre and post bariatric surgery. So both ends of that spectrum, but definitely leaning more towards before, because you're exactly right. You have to be able to show that you can not only lose weight, but keep some of the weight off before they will actually perform the surgery on you. And a lot of times that process, there's a very psychological viewpoint to that as well, that you have to be ready for when you go under the knife for such a serious surgery, and they want to make sure that their patients are properly prepared for that. And that's where CoreLife comes into play. We can act as an additional touch point, so to speak, for those bariatric surgeons. So more often than not, it's beforehand.
Okay. And then when they've graduated the program, how do you make sure, and I know it's adult responsibility too, but how do you make sure you don't lose them along the way? It's easy to fall back into old habits.
No, so that is really the magic, I guess, so to speak, of CoreLife. When the way the program is set up, we have everyone come in on a weekly basis at minimum for the first 8 weeks of the program. So if in some cases, it's very rare, but in some cases, if people stop coming on a weekly basis during that first 8 weeks, I'm calling them up. Me and my team are calling them up. It could be the nurse, could be the dietitian, more likely than not, it's myself and the administrative staff. We are saying, hey, we just wanted to check in on you, make sure everything was okay. When you join this program, that's why we use that initial appointment as just get to know you, figure out what your goals are, figure out why you're here in the first place, so that we can touch back and say, hey, when we talked 4, 6, 8 weeks ago, you said you needed to prepare for surgery. Your doctor may not like if you kind of given up in the meantime, you know what I mean? So we'll reach out now if they graduate. On the flip side of that, if they graduate from the program, we have multiple different stages and pathways. So again, everyone starts off coming on a weekly basis. At some point, they may go to biweekly. At some point, they may go to monthly. It really is dependent on A, what their current situation is, and B, really, what their goals are. If someone only wants to lose 20 pounds and they lose a pound a week for 20 weeks, that's about 4 months, then they've hit their goal weight and they're good to go. Some people, if they are here being referred from their bariatric surgeon, obviously they would be in the program a little bit longer, so it just depends.
Okay. So if there's some type of life event coming up and you just want to shed a few pounds, you can sign up too. Yeah. So it's not just for
absolutely. Okay. Now we, again, will promote the whole lifestyle change. My background is in personal training, so when I hear a situation like that, it's I just want to shed a few pounds for a wedding, or shed a few pounds for summertime coming up. That's great, and you want some type of extrinsic motivational factor. But at the end of the day, you have to want to be healthy, right? We hear the word diet thrown around so much. I'll leave you with one fun fact for the day. The term diet, if you were to go in any other country, the term diet really by its definition is just what you consume on a daily basis. America is really the only country in the world that uses the term diet as a verb. Like I'm going on a diet to lose weight, or I'm going on the keto diet, or God forbid, any other type of diet. So yes, we absolutely do, but we will still promote the overall lifestyle change at the end of the day.
I think of diet as die.
Right.
I mean, that's like the first couple of words.
Right. No, it absolutely. I mean, it really is. You take one letter off of it, and you're right there.
Yeah. So, I run because, well, one, it quiets my mind, but two, I like to eat.
Right.
And I like to eat good, fatty, delicious food. Not necessarily a fast food, not that type, but just really, the cheeses, butter, real butter.
Cheeses and wine, that's the best. I was gonna say, you're talking to someone who loves a nice tall glass of red wine, and you have to be able to balance that out. And one thing I really love about the program is that it's not flipping your whole world upside down. When we have patients come in through the door, you kind of hit the nail right on the head with the, it's an intimidating factor sometimes, and it is, you have no idea what to expect. Your people, and as a society right now in this country, obesity is such a huge issue that, people just, the health and wellness industry as a whole has done a very good job of making people think that, oh, I can't eat a cupcake or I can't have a piece of pizza without feeling guilty. And it's just a snowball effect of bad feelings, and if you look at it from that mentality, you're almost setting yourself up for failure, because the second one thing happens, or you go to a birthday party or a barbecue, you're around all these foods. What we try to do is just set you up with the proper education, more of an empowerment mindset than saying, oh, well, you can't eat X, Y, and Z. It's no, this is a lifestyle. You can have your cake and eat it too if you go running afterwards, or if you are balancing it out. It's all about balance. And if anyone says anything differently, they're probably just trying to sell you something. But
I tend to, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I know you're not a dietitian, but you work with them, that I almost kind of go with a calorie is a calorie. So it's how do I want to eat them?
Absolutely. That's perfect. And we were talking about it a little bit earlier with the Starbucks and different sugary drinks, and it comes down, how do you want to use your calories for the day? If I told you that your body burns 2,000 calories at rest, by laying in a bed all day, your metabolism just naturally burns 2,000 calories. And
wouldn't that be nice?
Right, I know. and you'd be surprised if you come to CoreLife, you can find out exactly how many calories your body would burn in a day. But
see, I look at the side of the boxes, and they're like 2,000 calorie day diet, 25.
Yeah,
I'm like, if I ate 2,000 calories a day, I would weigh at a minimum 150 pounds, probably close to 200, and that's if I wasn't exercising.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't know where they get this
That is and that's a great point. People, and we don't know, you know, the average person goes to the grocery store, they get what they've always gotten, and some people are conscious about it, some people aren't, but when you look at the nutrition labels, they're all based off of a 2,000 calorie a day diet. Now, some of our patients in our program are on 2,000 calories a day, some of them are under, some of them are over. Again, it's different for everyone. You know, but that's why we use that medical assessment in the very beginning to gauge exactly where you're at. We have what's called a resting metabolic rate test machine that actually measures the volume of carbon dioxide versus oxygen you breathe in and out, and it can tell us exactly over the course of 24 hours how many calories your body would burn. And we can use that as an anchor point to start your whole program. So when you do look at, you know, the box of a piece of cheese or, you know, the bottle of wine, you can say, hey, if I am under my calorie goal, I know that I'm still in a net loss for what my specific goal is. So we just try to take as much guesswork out of it as possible.
Yeah, I bet I still have that paper.
Somewhere,
year.
right?
I do. I would not have thrown it away. It's probably in my burn box.
That's
which is not to be confused. People think the burn box is stuff you burn. A burn box is the safety box so it doesn't burn.
Oh,
yes.
see, that's my mind instantly went there too.
Maybe it's me.
That's okay. No, that's okay. Well, you know what? Like I said, it's coming up on the 1 year, so you're due to come back anyways and get it done.
But wouldn't it be nice to definitely have where I was last year? I think I was healthier last year.
Well, if you're exercising, if you're running, you know, you you start somewhere. I mean, you know, the good thing is that you know a lot of people who can help.
I do.
You know, and I know you're very actively involved in your work and very entrenched in it. So, you know, you gotta just all about that balance. It comes all back to balance, just being able to prioritize correctly. And that's really one thing I have noticed personally about working in. I've been with CoreLife a little over a year now on a full-time basis. But one thing I have noticed, a lot of people that come through our door, they don't come through our door in a sense of they just are oblivious and they don't know anything. It's that they have put so many other people before themselves and they just kind of put themselves on the back burner that by the time they come in and talk to me for that consultation, they are just, it's a lot of emotional and psychological effects to that. And they just say, you know, I blinked and I was taking care of my mother, I was taking care of my father, I was doing X, Y, and Z, and here I am. And I don't know this person that I see in the mirror now because I never thought about myself. So that's been a very eye-opening experience to me, and I'm very proud to be able to be in the position that I am to try to help people.
Yeah. And you probably hear a lot of the secrets, and what do you do with that?
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to get to know someone before you know you just tell them, well, eat this, do this for exercise, and you know live your life like this. If someone has a heart condition or something, you can't go online and find the best boot camp class to go to and expect to be successful. Or if you have food allergies, you can't expect to just join a Nutrisystem or weight loss. Not that those are horrible programs, but you know, and expect to be successful. You know, you got to find out, pinpoint exactly where that person is at, and walk them through it. You know.
There's a few foods in our family that we have. My great grandma would make this special syrup. Really, I think it's like a brandy syrup without the brandy in it that gets served over cake and it's warm, and she just called it special sauce. But that's my go-to. In the winter time, if I'm happy or I'm sad, or we all love that. And it's just sugar.
It's not much sugar, right?
It's sugar, water, butter, and cornstarch over a white cake.
No, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, but I can pack on the pounds with that. So that emotional kind of the comfort that we do, just searching for that childhood safety net. I can only imagine when things are stressful and you're not thinking about yourself. All you want is that. Yeah, do you have a therapist at the office too?
So we actually have one of our offices in Odenton who had partnered with a therapist. That's something that we're looking at a little bit later down the line for a more nationwide thing. Once we start partnering with more hospital systems, that will be in at some point. As of right now, the dietitians, the nurses, and the PAs do a large majority of the counseling, so to speak. But that, who knows, that could definitely be in store later down the road.
Okay, so how did you get here? Were you ever a chunky kid, or do you always just liked fitness?
No, so that's actually a good question. All throughout, as long as I can remember growing up, I was pretty involved in sports from about the time I was in 5th or 6th grade. I was always conscious about it. I did have a little bit extra on me as a child, so to speak. I wouldn't say I was necessarily extremely overweight, but I was a little bit chunky. I guess that's actually a perfect term for it now that now that I think about it. But by the time I got to high school, I got a little bit more serious about it. I grew up with my grandparents in a meat and potato family. Had like 3 or 4 sodas a day and steak and potatoes most days for dinner. So by the time I got serious about playing sports, I was working out all the time, but my diet was not very in check. I had it in mind that I wanted to do something involved with health and wellness as a career, but I didn't know exactly what it was going to be yet. By the time I graduated high school, I had cut out all soda, sugary drinks. That was my vice, so to speak.
Well, when you say cut out sugary drinks, do you also cut out ones with artificial, and so you're only drinking like waters and milk and plain tea? Or
for me, I was an extreme person. I kind of am an extreme person. So I just went from one end of the
that surprises me.
Right, I know, right? I know. I've known you for a year now. You're like, really? You're just telling me this now? So I personally went from having like 3 or 4 sodas a day, to just nothing. I went to just straight water and like maybe some juice here and there, but I just went from one extreme to the other. And just by cutting sugary drinks out, going into my senior year, I think I lost almost like 15 pounds, and that was just cutting soda out. And I was already someone who, I played basketball, I played every sport you can imagine at some point in my life. So I was very involved in athletics, not very good, but I was involved. I was involved in it.
I'm not good at softball, but I play.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It's just fun. It's
when
fun.
my team lets me.
Right, absolutely. Get a good feel every once in a while.
I wasn't selected this year.
I won't tell anyone. This only sees how many people. Hopefully they don't get upset, but that's okay. But yeah, no. So just by that alone, I lost about 15 pounds. There's a lot of you'll probably get a different answer from a lot of different people. In my opinion, someone who is not a dietitian, I will say the artificial sweeteners are they taste a lot sweeter than real sugar, to my knowledge. So the issue with artificial sweeteners isn't the calories really as much as it makes you crave more sugary foods because it's just tricking your mind. Again, I'm not a dietitian, so I can't really say with 100% certainty, but just from being around diet, that's kind of the general consensus I've picked up. So that's really the biggest downside to it.
When I desugar myself, it takes about 2 weeks, and I think I'm actually kind of crabby when I get off the sugar. But I do allow myself just natural sugars if it's in fruit. Like we had a rule with the kids growing up, and I think my mother had it with me too, is that you eat your fruit, you don't drink it, and your choices are milk or water. There wasn't tea, there wasn't soda, and that's traveling it through to my kids. They're strong, healthy bones. Neither one has a weight problem. They don't have cavities.
Beautiful,
so,
beautiful. And
yeah.
that's a good rule.
So I was going to ask you, the mom in me.
Yeah, what you got?
With drinking 4 sugary sodas a day as a kid, I mean, teeth are beautiful, straight and white, but how are they, okay.
Yeah, no, so now they are. I had braces as a child. I was not too, that's the other downside with sugars that you have to worry about, not just the biological effects, of like weight gain, insulin resistance, blood sugar levels, but just cavities, straight cavities. That's not, you don't want to, the teeth are expensive. Going to the orthodontist is not cheap.
That's very true.
Yeah, very, very true.
I still sleep with my retainers.
Good.
I know, every night.
Good for you. I had to get a permanent one because I didn't wear them, and I was not compliant too well. Sorry, Grandma, if you're seeing this. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I know, cha-ching.
Yeah, it's right together.
Okay, so played a lot of sports, just about all.
Yeah.
Then college, I guess, is where next step
so
is.
the next step, I actually went to Anne Arundel Community College for kinesiology.
So you're from Maryland originally?
Yes, absolutely. Born and raised from Maryland. It's the best flag.
County?
Yep.
Oh, we do have the best flag.
Yeah, but we do have the best flag. Just gotta represent Maryland. So yes, I went straight into Anne Arundel Community College. I didn't get a degree. Actually went the different route. I went the certification for kinesiology and physical fitness. So right out of high school, I jumped into personal training. My full-time job, I fell into government contracting by the grace of God. Really, that was a huge blessing in my life, and really is really the reason why I'm here right now, speaking to you and
Okay,
meeting
but
you.
what do you do, government? What was that you fell into?
Yeah,
or
so
you're
I
not
fell
allowed to tell us?
absolutely. Yeah, no. So I fell into it was a little bit of everything. My first job was logistics and human resources. Essentially, my first year was just more of a glorified paperboy. I followed the vice president of the company
There's
around.
nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong.
It's a learning curve. We all have to do it.
Absolutely, you are absolutely right. I just soaked up as much knowledge as I could. Anything that the bosses wanted, I was running to Starbucks, running to Chipotle, doing all the fun running. It's not the most fun to talk about, but it's true. So I did that for about a year. I actually got put on a contract. After my first year, they trusted me enough to put me at Fort Belvoir and the Pentagon. So for the next 3 years, I worked full-time back and forth between the Pentagon and Fort Belvoir. I just slowly worked my way up from the glorified paperboy to real logistics, and I finished off at quality assurance management. So, peer-to-peer reviews, performance reviews. I would, end user agreements, go to all the fancy schmancy government meetings, making sure that all the deliverables were there on time. And I learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot, met a lot of really great people, and it really prepared me for, like I said, where I'm at now. But health and wellness is always the passion. And I actually met our chief operating officer at a wine tasting, ironically.
Is that David?
That is Ryan.
Ryan,
Yeah.
okay.
David is the vice president.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so David, I met Ryan.
I don't think I've met Ryan before.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think he came to the ribbon cutting, but Dave was there. So you met Dave and Sean, the owner. So I actually met him right after I got certified in personal training, and at the time they had, I think, 3 locations. And I told, we just got to chit-chatting, and, he had asked me, he's like, well, if you're a personal trainer, would you be interested in, we work with a lot of trainers, if you're interested, want to get outside of the box gym setting, I think you'd really like what we have. And I said, yeah, I'll look into it. CoreLife had an interesting name. And so I came on as a personal trainer, and I just did personal training there part-time while I was working for the government full-time. And I always believed in the vision. I mean, the vision is preventative health care and, weight management. I always loved the model of it, having a real one-on-one conversation with someone about your health. There's nothing more personable than that when you go to a doctor's office. It's a scary, like you said, scary experience sometimes. And the idea of creating a whole health and wellness program partnered with your doctor just seemed genius to me. I love that idea, and the results spoke for themselves. So I was already sold on it, but when the Bowie location, about a month or 2 before the Bowie location opened up, me and Ryan had gone back and forth, and I quit my fancy government job and came here, and I have not looked back. It's a true blessing, really.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
All your input. I can't believe this half hour went by so quickly.
Really?
I know.
What? I feel like we're just getting started, man.
Is there anything else? We have about another minute. If
Another
there's
minute?
anything.
Okay.
Okay, so you have your certification.
Yeah, no,
Do you
yes.
have an interest in going for a 4-year degree?
Yeah,
or?
if it's God's will, it will be done. I really enjoy what I'm doing right now. It is very much a lot of expansion that is going on in the future for CoreLife, and I really want to be involved with that on a full-time basis. So the passion is always health and wellness. You got to come check us out. We're right off of Racetrack Road at the Hilltop Plaza, and who knows? This time next year we could be opening up another one in Prince George's County. We'll see.
Thumbs up.
Absolutely.
And I think you're planning a run, so
yes, absolutely.
check out, I guess, the CoreLife website.
Absolutely.
There's going to be a fundraiser.
Yep, CoreLifeMD.com. We're looking at September 22nd. We want to get a team together with the local community for a St. Jude's run. You can't go wrong with St. Jude's.
Correct.
So
Well,
yep.
I'm in.
You're in.
So
I got you. You got a handshake on it right here.
Handshake
I
on it
love
right
it. I
there.
love it.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Now I just found out it's probably a marathon. No.
No. I think it's a 5K to be technical.
Okay, yeah, 5K.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Absolutely, we
No
can do that. We
problem
can make
at
that
all.
work. I'll help you train. We
Okay.
got you.
Well, thank you, George,
Absolutely.
so much. I appreciate you being here and taking the time out of your busy schedule.
Thank
And
you.
Thank you for joining us on the Bowie Business Journal.
Thank
See you
you.
next time. I have no idea.
I was like, man.
I
what?
can't see anything. Remember, I don't have glasses.
Oh, that's
or
right.
contacts.
Yes, that's
Do you want me to redo it?
the stink eye.
Oh, okay.
You got it. You got it.
Thank you, George, so much for being with us, taking time out of your busy. By the way, we have a bloopers tape he does for me.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it.
You might be on
I
it.
will be on it. Trust me. I'll
Okay.
mess up more than once.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Bowie Business Journal. See you next time.
Woo!
That was the most fun interview.
Nice. Oh, really? You don't just say that after
No,
all of them?
I'm telling you, we are going to have a TV show together.
Really?
I'm going to tell Kelly.